super excited to have everybody here. Have my friend David Latner from Boston. Hey, David.
Hey,
Glad,
Jennifer.
glad that you can make it. And
Thank you for
Josh
having me.
May, longtime friend, got to meet Josh in California when we were at Elite Retreat. And he's fabulous and a huge Remax rock star in the Grand Rapids area. So thankful that you two could join me. Thank you.
All right. Happy to be here. And
Yeah,
with both of you, my long friend David and Jennifer. I think we got a great crew here, right?
Yeah, we do. We do. I'm super excited. I'm at home today, so ignore all my gym equipment behind me. That is me trying to get in shape and look fabulous for our floor. So we will see how that works out. We'll have a little bit of time to do that. In. But anyway, here to talk about real estate in 2023 and what you guys are seeing. You want to start it, David, and just kind of a general idea of what you're seeing in today's real estate market?
yes. I guess, obviously the interest rates are big news. The Feds have announced that they're going to be increasing the rate one time in February and one time in March, but the increment of the increase has actually gone down a lot, which some experts are predicting that the interest rate may actually go down a little bit because of that going into the spring market, which I think will help with sellers putting their houses on the market in higher numbers, because obviously in our market right now, inventory is extremely tight. And that's why I think sellers that are acting now are being rewarded. We're starting to see open houses that are very, very busy. We're starting to see the multiple offers again. So that's what I'm trying to start to push to my prospective sellers is if you put it on sooner, you'll actually be rewarded for that.
Awesome. What about you, Josh? What are you seeing in Michigan?
Yeah, I agree with David a little bit here. So it's interesting, West Michigan historically has been a very affordable place to live. We keep making these lists of one of the more affordable cities in the country to live. So our price points, our average price point is pretty low from a national perspective. We're well below the national average, kind of hovering right around that 340,000. And where I'm going with this is, has interest rates made people step back and kind of pause for a minute? Yes, we saw that over the past 6 months. It was certainly new to everybody. Everybody was ingrained in the 3% interest rate. So, things change. But what we're seeing right now is there is no correlation between any doom and gloom on the media versus reality of what's happening in West Michigan, right? So I can tell you that every single home I've listed this year, and that's about one a week, every single home has had multiple offers, which has been very great, right? And I'd say the biggest change we've seen from this time last year was we're still seeing, for example, a new listing may get 25 showings, but last year it may have gotten 10 offers, whereas this year, that offer count is down to 2 or 3 or 4. So we're seeing buyers just be a little bit more cautious right now. We're seeing buyers move a little bit slower, but based on lower inventory levels, people only have so many choices. And I totally echo David's sentiments. We've been messaging our sellers the same thing. There's this sweet spot of time where if you can beat the rest of the sellers to the market, like February, March, you will 100% be rewarded. And we're definitely seeing the same thing in West Michigan.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing here. It did slow down a little bit, but just for a brief second, I think everybody had to swallow the interest rates going up. But most of my people that were older that had bought and sold homes, in the last 20 years, didn't really bat an eye at interest rate because they were used to it being 8%, in the early 90s. But of course, any of your new buyers, I mean, it went from 3% to 6% in 1 year, which is the highest increase, I believe, that we've ever seen as a nation. I'm pretty sure that's what I read. Do y'all know if that's accurate? Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that that's accurate.
Yeah, I heard the same thing. In that short amount of time, it's never increased that quickly, which.
So what about your prices? And I was on with David just a little bit earlier. I was saying that the prices here, if you look at today's prices versus January of 2022, our average price or mean price was 375 in last year, January. Today it's 415. So it's gone up 50,000, 11% since last year. And in between, it's kind of fluctuated a little bit, but continuing to rise. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'll jump in. It's interesting. So West Michigan as a whole, like I said, we're hovering around the $340,000 price point, which from this time last year is still up 10% from this time in 2022. Now, what we saw is, to be honest with you, most of that appreciation came the first quarter of last year. We had never seen inventory levels as low as we saw them January, February, March 2022. So April of 2022, I mean, the appreciation in the first 3 to 4 months of the year was literally up to 20%. That has stabilized in the last half of 2022, come down a little bit, and that's where we've come down to that 10%. But what we are expecting is continued appreciation in 2023. Every indicator is pointing towards West Michigan as a whole being up anywhere between 5 and 10%. I know that's a big number, but obviously there's been some big changes here, so we're not 100% sure. But again, due to the conservative nature of our market and the affordability of our market, like we're not on the West Coast, we're not in $1 million price range where the swings are as big. And you guys are in similar price ranges, I believe.
No, he's way higher.
Oh, you're way higher. Well, let's talk about you, David. That's what we're seeing in Michigan.
Yeah, so our average price point for a single family home in the areas that we do the majority of our business in, which is just north of Boston, is about $800,000 for an average price point for a single family home. Obviously, we sell homes much higher than that. We sell homes, a little bit lower than that. Condos, average price point is around $500,000 in the areas. There's obviously some condos that are much more than that. There's some that are less. We're expecting that the appreciation is going to continue. I think that's another big thing that we want to start pushing out to our seller clients on these listing appointments and just communicating out to the open market, is that we are expecting for prices to continue to appreciate moving into 2023. In our market, the experts are predicting between 3 to 5%, which is a healthy margin for our market area. So that's what I'm trying to push out to sellers is, let's get it on. Let's get your home prepped. Let's get it on as soon as possible. We're seeing open houses that are very busy. Multiple offers are coming back strong. And I think if we all push that out together, it's going to help us, as realtors throughout the country, help us to get that inventory in a little bit faster, because that's our biggest challenge right now.
So I think you're right. I mean, as long as inventory, because we're at a low in inventory as well, I think most of the nation is. And right now, our expected is for it to continue to grow as far as prices, more like 3 to 5% is what I've also heard, David. But as long as the inventory is low and the prices still rise, buyers should buy now, because we're not going to have that dip in price. And then if the interest rates, or when the interest rates fall, then they can always refinance. And as far as sellers, right now we know we have low inventory. If we wait 3 or 4 months, all the predictions are inventory is going to go up. So I think Josh, as one said, now is the time to list, because if you wait, you're going to be in the market with everybody else.
Right. And, I'll tell you what we are battling here, at least in West Michigan, and you guys, I'm sure, are having the same conversations, is, the media has done a really good job of getting buyers and sellers to think that it's a bad market potentially for sellers and a great market for buyers. And that is not the case. It's just not the case. So we are having to have some very strong realistic conversations with our buyers right now. I mean, I just had a conversation with one of my clients that, he wanted to write an offer $50,000 less. And I got to say, it's just not, the house has been on the market for one day. This is not 2008. So it's really battling those conversations and being really strong with that. And I think, the three of us have been in the business a long time and understand the importance of really guiding people more than ever right now.
That's right. Knowledge is power.
It's amazing how quickly the market is shifting. Obviously it was very buyer friendly in the fall market. I had a client I just helped buy and sell in the same day. And in the fall market, they contacted me and said, we like this home right across the street from, the young couple. Her parents live right across the street from this house that just came on the market. Beautiful house, great house, priced fairly reasonably. I wouldn't classify it as being overpriced. We went to the open house. It was very, very busy, but they had to sell their house in order to buy that house. And I said, let's see if it moves, because where you have to sell your house and it's not even on the market yet, if they get any offer that's reasonable, it'll be tough to compete. They didn't get an offer, to our surprise, and we're able to help them get that offer accepted with a home sale contingency, and the house wasn't even on the market yet. But that was the fall market. We were starting to see things like that we hadn't seen in 10 years. But now I'm not so sure that would be able to navigate that. And it's only, a few months later. So things are kind of slowly shifting back towards, toward the sell direction, but still a great market. I still think it's a great market for buyers too, but we're going to start to see those multiple offer scenarios, especially for first time home buyers with lower down payments. I think some of that frustration will start to creep back in as we get further into the spring market.
So right now today, are you seeing more seller concessions? Sounds like you did in the deal you were just talking about. Are you seeing that generally?
Yeah, I mean, so we got that house accepted under ask, and again, it wasn't a lofty list price to begin with the home sale contingency, and the house wasn't even on the market, and it wasn't even prepped yet. Some of the other listings that we had, we priced well. There may have been like a $5,000 closing cost credit on a house where if it was 6 months prior to that, it would have sold above that list price without any seller concessions. But I think now we're kind of at that, beginning, ready to turn the page into the early spring market, where I think we're going to see less and less seller concessions again, and and that's why we're trying to push that out to the market with sellers, saying, hey, don't wait.
Right. What about you, Josh? Are you seeing seller concessions?
Yeah, unfortunately for buyers, we're just not seeing it here in Michigan. Again, I mostly list properties, so I'm mostly on the other end of things. And even in the fall, I wasn't seeing it a lot. I can't remember the last time I've accepted an offer with concessions. And it's just not happening in Michigan. And again, I know it's happening in other parts of the country. That's great for buyers. I just think that we are still in too tight of a market. Our inventory is still low. It's interesting because, I do, and again, I don't have a crystal ball in all this, but I do feel like from a buyer perspective, like that sweet spot to attempt to get a deal was in the fall. When there was so much volatility and when there was so much pullback, I do think that was the time. And we're just expecting a little bit more of those multiple offers in the spring market. Now that might change in the summer or fall of 2023, but I'm just not sure. All things are pointing towards it maybe not being as crazy as last spring, but in most cases, in a lot of price points, we're expecting multiple offers in the spring of 2023, which unfortunately, like I said, for buyers kind of eliminates concessions in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm. So in sum, would you say, what would your advice be to your buyers and sellers in the next upcoming months? Either one.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we discuss right now from a seller's perspective, Like Genevieve said, knowledge is power. We are very, very big on helping sellers game plan, 30, 60, 90 days in advance. Like, we want to talk to you well in advance of you making any decisions so we can guide you there. We feel like it's incredibly important for our sellers to be able to maximize their return. We're coaching our sellers up on the little things of staging and bringing in our professional stager, designer, really helping sellers, because we know with this low inventory market, they're really still going to be able to capitalize on maximizing that return. From the buyer side, I'll say the one great thing about Grand Rapids, it is, I think Michigan as a whole is very underrated as a state. I got to throw that plug out there. I love Michigan, and I think it's like a hidden gem. We're surrounded by the beautiful Great Lakes, but Grand Rapids as a whole is definitely a bright spot as far as our population growing. In fact, Grand Rapids and 2 other suburbs around Grand Rapids are projected the top 3 real estate markets in 2023 in all of Michigan, which is really cool. And where I'm going with that is, since we are a heavy relocation state or relocation area within Michigan and around the Midwest, like, for buyers, we have to work harder than we've ever worked to find our buyers opportunities. So we are working the off-market channels like crazy right now. I think that's the important thing of like hiring a good agent. Gone are the days, like in these low inventory markets, gone are the days of just sitting back and hoping the right house hits. Like, we need to be out communicating with the best agents in town. What do you have coming up? Would you be interested in doing an off-market deal? What does that look like? Because we've got a backlog of relocation buyers that have to be here, and they don't have enough opportunities right now. So just really coaching buyers and sellers up a little bit different, each of the conversations, but really digging deep and guiding people is our approach to 2023.
I think that you're right on target there. What about you, David? You're trained.
Yeah, so I list a lot more than I buy as well. I very, very rarely work with buyers, but I do work with a select few for sure. But as far as the listing, we try to control the listings, like Josh is saying, as far as prepping the houses. That's one of the things that we've really helps with our point of differentiation on how we present the homes to the market. We have a list of vendors that are that will show up. They'll get the job done. They're reasonably priced. I can count on them. And then we have, a very structured schedule as far as what needs to get done, exactly when it's going to be done by. It will get done as we planned and that it will, and we'll get it to the market presented beautifully because of that. And some people don't want to do that work, but for the people that do, that's how I generate a lot of referrals that way. How we prep the house, the planning phase in detail. As far as the buyers go, and then the marketing and the photo shoots, I really enjoy the drone marketing. That's something we've gotten really good at over the years. As far as buyers go, the advice to buyers would be, I really try to encourage buyers to be patient. The more time that we have to work with, the more options that we'll have. And I'm consistently advising buyers to walk away from houses way more than I am encouraging people to move forward with offers. So by the time I say, if they like a house, by the time we say, that's a great house, let's move forward, then they know, because we've told them that the other 7 houses weren't a good investment. So I guess, to go back to answer the question, try to give them as much time as they possibly can to make sure that we're getting the right house and we're not just acting because it's the only house that's currently on the market. I have that challenge right now it was a very high quality referral. So I'm servicing the buyer directly. And that was my advice. They wanted to act on this house just because it was the best house that was on the market right now. And we all know there's not a lot of inventory on. So I encourage them to give themselves more time to make sure they're not just acting because of what's currently on the market. And they took my advice.
Yeah, good. That's so I represent both buyers and sellers. I do have a relatively large team. there are 2 agents, 10 agents and 2 admin. But I get leads in and give 100% of the leads to my agents on the team. But I take all my past clients, friends, family, sphere of influence, referrals from YouTube. I take all of those myself, buyers and sellers. And I go back to education is so important. And if you think that you're either going to buy or sell in 2023, then you should, if you're going to be in my area, Wilmington, North Carolina, call me. Or if you're going to be in Michigan, you call Josh. Boston, call David, because it is really important to know, even if you think I'm not going to do anything until June or July, you need to go ahead and have that conversation so that we can sit down with you or have a Zoom meeting with you and go over your options and go over what we're seeing today. Also, so you could be in our mind. So if we see that house we're looking for, maybe like Josh was saying, that's off market, we might be able to sneak you in there. Or if you know, or the other way around, we have a buyer actively looking, and we know we have a seller that wants to sell in March and April. It might be a good way to connect you. So I think it is super important to have that conversation and to call us. Okay? Absolutely. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say I agree 100%. I appreciate you having us, and I am a firm believer in, if you're going to navigate this market, like, work with a professional, work with somebody that you can put your trust in, which I believe everybody can put their trust in you too, and myself and all the other great professionals we know, because I just truly believe that the professional realtor will lead the way in this market, and that's what the general public needs to buy into. They need to trust, and the process will get done if you keep that thought in mind.
I 100% agree. Oh, thank you guys. And I will see you. It's Remax's 50th anniversary. So we will all be going to R4 in Vegas. And I look forward to seeing you two then.
Thank you for having me on, Jennifer.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.
See you next month. Bye, guys. Thank you again.
Thank you.